Shatrughan Sinha as your uncle, Sonakshi and Love Kush as your cousins.
If I woke up as an actress one day, for me, that would be a flop actress from day one. And trust me, you wouldn't want me as an actress.
Oh, no.
And be on a podcast. All these years later, I would think they were crazy.
Not a lot of people in India understand it. About veganism. Where do you get your protein from? Into a double cheese chicken burger. The most overrated healthy food is?
Avocados.
A stereotype about vegans that is actually kind of true.
That vegans love talking about being vegan.
Hi, this is Pooja Chaudhri, and my guest today is someone who's breaking the stereotype that conscious living is not just for kale and broccoli lovers. She's the force behind One Green Planet and a voice for sustainability who doesn't believe in guilt-tripping anyone into going vegan. Welcome to InControversial, Preeta. So happy to have you.
Thank you, Pooja. It's so nice to be here on my first podcast in India.
Excellent. And it's lovely that you're on the show with me today, but Mumbai girl, but for more than half your life, you've now sort of based in New York and in the US. How does it feel coming back home?
It's
or do you
incredible.
feel like a tourist now?
No. I don't feel like a tourist because I really don't travel enough.
Okay.
I need to actually travel more to feel like a tourist. I'm usually in Bombay, but I love being back. I come back about 3 months or so every year, 3 to 4 months every year. So I'm sinking my teeth back in Bombay again after a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. I get to spend time with beautiful friends like you.
Of course.
And it's very exciting.
And I've known you for a few years now. Being born into a film family, right? Shatrughan Sinha as your uncle, Sonakshi and Love Kush as your cousins. Were you not ever sort of interested or enticed into coming in front of the camera or getting into the world of films?
That's so interesting. I've had these influences pretty much since I was born, right? But I'm sort of the nerd of the family.
I don't believe that.
And people don't, it's true, people don't. But of course, growing up, we were surrounded by, a film crowd, business crowd. We went to all these parties growing up as, kids. We were, or parties happened at my uncle's home and we would, be sleeping up in the room or whatever. So we met people and people would always ask, they would be like, hey, do you want to be an actress? So it happened with me, which is the same thing that happened with Sonakshi as well. But for me, it's sort of like saying, if I woke up as an actress one day, for me, that would be a nightmare because as a personality, that does not fit me at all. So, but for someone like Sonakshi, that same thing is a dream, right? Like someone realized her dream and even she didn't realize it, right? And so that's what's beautiful. For me, I was always an animal lover. I was a tree hugger. I was sort of a whimsical kid. And I just never thought it was possible that I could ever do that and make money with it, right? Can I do this as a living? So for me, getting to do that, I feel like I'm living my dream, right? But yes, I had influences, but I don't think people really knew that me as who I am truly as a person, that's not for me. And trust me, you wouldn't want me as an actress.
Oh, no.
Be a flop actress from day one.
But of course, you're keeping it so real and sort of living the dream, as you say, being an animal lover, a tree hugger, yet from business school to, talking and championing green and sustainability. How did that transition happen?
It took a while because I guess I didn't really think that I could do this as a business, right? If someone tells you, told me then that, hey, you're actually going to run a business talking about loving the planet and loving animals, and be on a podcast all these years later, I would think they were crazy, right? But I don't know, I feel like when I was at Columbia, I was doing a program at Columbia after doing a couple of jobs in New York City, and it has a long name. The program is called Ecology, Environmental, and Evolutionary Biology.
Okay, that's a mouthful.
E3B. I was doing this program, and in the middle of the program, I thought about the fact that, hey, I've had sort of some experience in the publishing industry. So I've been in the publishing industry. My first jobs were in the publishing industry. So I sort of took a break, went to Columbia, and in the middle of it, I was like, hey, why don't I take my experience, but do it in a field that I like, which is let's talk about sustainability, let's talk about plant-based living. And I kind of wanted to marry the two. And that's what I decided when I was actually doing this program at Columbia. And I said, hey, let me just see if people are interested. Let me get out and do this. And that's how it happened. It was really marrying my skill and my passion together and sort of rolling the dice pretty much. Yeah.
So that was your sort of aha moment, and that's what birthed One Green Planet?
That's what birthed One Green Planet.
And how long
absolutely.
ago was this now?
Oh my God.
That you've been living your passion?
About 8 or 9 years now. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a
and
while.
what were the early days of entrepreneurship and sort of being a fledgling startup?
Very different from now, right? Now when you meet entrepreneurs, they have a 5-year exit strategy from day one. They have these giant business plans. My entrepreneurship journey was very old school. My passion turned into, it blew up. A lot of people started following it, and then it turned into a business. So it was a very organic growth, right? But of course, as it started growing, I have a business mind. I was like, how, if I'm not making money with this, how is it really gonna get there? So I kind of put the business on it together, and I knew that I was gonna turn this into a media company.
Nice. And in One Green Planet, of course, you have a plethora of brands, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
there's Food Monster.
Yes.
There is Tiny Rescue. There's
Yes.
Wild Watchers.
Yes.
What is fueling this passion?
They're all
And
subsets.
tell us a little bit about all of them, yeah.
They're all subsets, right? So One Green Planet is our conscious lifestyle brand,
Okay.
right? What that means, what does conscious lifestyle mean? It means every decision you make, any cause you support, the way you treat animals, the food you eat, the way you treat the environment, the way you treat your health. These are all conscious and purposeful decisions we have to make. Today, 9 years later, 8 years later, it's obvious, right? It's commonplace. You know this, all of us know this, but when I first started, it wasn't. You had to tell people that these are conscious decisions we have to make, because people didn't know where their food comes from. People didn't know where their products come from. People didn't know what actions to take, right? So we needed to be a discovery platform to tell people about those things, right? So One Green Planet is sort of our mothership brand. Then, of course, we got into plant-based living. When we got into plant-based living, we decided, hey, let's not tell people eat less meat, eat less dairy. Let's give them recipes. Because people, especially in the US, a lot of people don't know the concept of veg or vegan food, right? Because everyone, largely, it's a meat-eating population. So we said, hey, let's give people recipes. Let's give them the resource. So once they cook, they're going to learn that, all of your delicious recipes that you eat, there's alternatives to it, and they're nutritious as well.
Yeah.
So that's how we got into the Food Monster app, which today is the largest plant-based recipe app on the iTunes store in the US. Then, of course, we got into Tiny Rescue, which is a sustainable fashion brand, but our collections are focused on important causes. So we have an animal collection, we have a climate change collection, we have a mental health collection, and all of the t-shirts are made from recycled materials. And they're also circular. And what circular means is once you're done with the t-shirt, you can send it back to us and we'll make a new product out of it.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, so nothing goes into the landfill. So that's Tiny Rescue. It's sort of a young, casual sweatshirt, t-shirt brands for kids.
Okay.
And then I guess, let's go, what else? How many other brands?
Wild Watchers, let me remind you.
Wild Watchers is currently in development, but basically it's a search engine. It's a search engine where you as an animal lover, a planet lover, can go and search for all of the ways you can save the planet, right? So if you want to clean up a beach, if you want to go and restore coral reefs, if you want to adopt an animal, you can literally go search in there and it's going to give you all the opportunities right there. And then you can apply, or you can, venture and start actually taking action for the planet. So it's essentially a search engine. And then the most recent thing I launched was Sustainable, which is a mix between sustainable and noble,
Right.
which is a ethical and sustainable home store.
Oh, lovely.
So you can go there and buy, all your favorite sort of home decor items that are not only sustainably made, but the artisans we work with use ethical as well as fair trade practices to build those products.
Lovely, lovely,
Yeah.
and fascinating.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, but it's clearly fascinating, and I mean, walking the talk every step, and in every which way possible. If I may now talk about veganism, and just a couple of sentences before, you said not a lot of people in the US understand it. Let me say not a lot of people in India understand it either. oftentimes, people think that it's just a rich person's Instagram trend or fad, and it's expensive, it sounds prohibitive, especially to us Indians who are so caught up in our ghee and malai and mithai. Please help dispel some truths.
Well, there is some truth to this, and
Yeah.
there's it's layered. This conversation is layered, but it's in India it's just vegetables. I think people hear the word vegan and they think it's something. I don't understand what it is. I mean, I go out sometimes and people say she's vegan, and I think people are confused. What do? They forget that it's actually just vegetables, right? We're trying to eat vegetables, and then the only other thing we're trying to do is avoid dairy, right?
Right.
It's actually very simple if you think about that, right? But just the word vegan confuses a lot of people. Like, what does it mean? Is it something really special? Like, is it different that we'll never understand? And something that you'll actually love to hear is that there was a report done last year by the World Wildlife Fund, I believe, that actually said that the way India consumes, it's by far one of the most sustainable in the world. It's actually a fact, right? And if everybody consumed the way Indians consumed and the way India consumed, we would just need one planet to feed the world.
I mean, given the size of our population, right?
Right, we would need one planet.
Yeah.
Even though our population is so huge. But the way the Western world consumes, we need about 7 planets.
Ouch.
And that's largely because even though Indians, of course, not everyone is vegetarian, but India is a largely veg. People still eat tons of vegetables in this country, and therefore, the process to grow that is much less intensive, right? Yeah. So this is beautiful. So even though the concept might be fringe, right? People don't understand what plant-based is or what vegan is. Yeah. By far, India is doing a great job across the world, right?
Yeah. I mean, dal, roti, sabji, chawal is a staple for us growing up, right? And in various combinations and permutations of that. So, but where do you get your protein from? On a scale of 1 to 10, how often are you asked this question?
Every day. The question that every vegan hates. But it's a great question, because there's a reason why people ask this question, right? There's a reason why you're asking me this question. Is obviously because there's not a clear-cut answer, right? Yeah. People, they don't find it that easy to understand, because people are used to getting their protein from meat and chicken and fish eggs. And everything else, right? But I mean, you can get your protein from legumes, from beans, from dals, lentils, kale, spinach, hemp seeds. I mean, nuts, peanuts. Yeah. Oh my God, we can go on, right? There's plenty and plenty of sources of protein.
And we were talking about the Food Monster app and how it's the sort of largest repository of plant-based recipes. Given that you're sort of living and breathing this space, what's that one plant-based ingredients that people are sleeping on? They still don't know its absolute superpower benefits.
What they're sleeping on, that's really interesting. I don't know if they're sleeping on this, but mushroom coffee is a big thing right now. I think adaptogens are great for you. Different types of mushrooms, incorporating them has been known to have lots and lots of health benefits. So I'm sort of myself, getting more and more into that. So instead of your morning cup of coffee, having mushroom coffee, which is a natural source as opposed to caffeine. So I would say probably that right now, although I may think of others as we go along.
It's funny you say that, and if I may confess at this point, I'm a big proponent of mushroom-based extracts. I've been on lion's mane and cordyceps for more than a few months now, almost a year in fact, and I think it has helped my performance, my productivity, my energy, my recovery.
Your brain health.
Oh my God, it's like taking it out of the roof. Literally.
And you run.
Yes.
You're a runner.
And I work long hours and I multitask. So yeah.
And you run long hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad you said this. And one confession moment now. Do you ever secretly judge people if you're out with friends at meal times when you see them dig their mouth into a double cheese chicken burger in front of you? Like,
so most of the people around me, in my life, all over, largely are, not vegan. Vegan is different from plant-based. A lot of people are plant-based, but not everyone follows a vegan lifestyle.
Yeah.
I, for one, and this might be, I might be a minority in this. I, for one, really don't believe in shaming people, guilting people. I don't believe in judging people. Any of my friends, we've hung out. I'm often around people who don't eat like me. And don't believe that's the way of getting people to really respect your habits. I call it a culture. The way I live is a form of culture, right?
Yeah.
This is a mission of
Yeah.
my life. I don't think if I do that to people, if I judge people too much, they end up respecting my philosophy, right? So for me, I believe you should live by example, right? So if you, as my friend, think that, I love Preeta's philosophy and I love how she lives and I want to take some of it, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So I want to inspire change by example as opposed to beat people down on their head and say you're the worst person ever for doing this. And also, to answer your question, seeing people eat it, it really doesn't bother me. I've been vegan for 15 years.
Wow.
So there's been many moments I've seen that, and I've learned to sort of, when I'm with friends and family, to look at them in an emotional aspect, right? And not intellectualize every single thing they're doing, right?
Yeah.
I do want friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do love humans. I love animals, but
Yeah.
I do love humans, and I want humans to love me back.
Yeah.
So no, I personally do not feel like that. And you've been with me, and
Yeah.
anyone, any of my friends will tell you I don't believe in the preaching concept. I really don't believe in preaching. I don't believe in shaming people and guilting people into feeling bad about their habits. I think that is an outdated way of changing people's minds. I think you have to live by example.
Yeah. And you also spoke about, double standards. Like it's easy for people to bash vegans, but they conveniently ignore the cost of fast fashion or polyester or, the ill effects of excessive meat consumption. I think people just conveniently sort of turn a blind eye to these things, isn't it?
Yeah, people focus. It's a habit of people to be single issue activists. That's what we call it. Someone just focuses on one issue and then really goes so deep into that, right? But in the world where today, we have multiple issues. And therefore, I said progress, not perfection, right? Absolutely, eating less meat and dairy is absolutely a critical thing that people should follow. It is going to change the planet. It is going to change the health of animals. But in addition to that, there's toxins in our water, the air quality,
Let's not even get there.
There's microplastics in our organs and lungs. I mean, there's a lot of things that the humans of today have to grapple with, right? And we really have to look at it from a 40,000 feet view, and how can we try to do a little bit of all as opposed to go and do one thing so deep, right? We got to kind of touch upon all of these things a little bit and see, how do I avoid microplastics in my blood? I mean, you care about that, right?
For sure.
Absolutely. How do I not wear, I'm sure there's vegans out there who wear polyester all the time. That's disrupting your hormones. There's a lot of things we have to think about, and I feel bad actually for us as a human race right now that we have to deal with so many issues and so many levels of pollution and environmental factors. So yes, I don't think we can be single issue activists anymore.
And with, so many sort of celebrities going vegan, do you think it actually helps the cause, or is it just for PR purposes and optics? Does it help the movement, or does it actually hurt it?
Anybody choosing to live plant-based, choosing to live sustainably, absolutely helps the movement. It's not even a movement, it's the world today, right? So absolutely, every little bit helps. There's no doubt about that.
Coming from a business schooling background and being an entrepreneur yourself, isn't it a paradox that a lot of sustainable brands, ironically, are not financially sustainable? Why is it that being green and sustainable is not commercially viable?
Very, very good question, right? The adoption will take time, right? It's not so much about people buying the product, it's about changing mindsets. That takes time. just with people eating plant-based, right? It's taken, from when I started to now, it's night and day. Now today, you know
Yeah.
so much about plant-based stuff. When I started, people thought I was crazy. Like, you think you're going to start a business and tell people to be vegan? Like, get out of here. Investors didn't want to put money into it. Nobody wanted to hear it because nobody wants, don't touch my food. Don't go for my food, right? But today, you know, the whole world, this is not a fringe concept anymore.
Yeah.
So the same thing, I think, as technologies get better, as supply chains are completely powered by renewable energy, as the industries, you know, get more eco-friendly, I suppose, and as sort of industries change, I think only that is going to eventually get people to adopt this better, right? Right now, the industries are trying their best to forge forward, right? So the adoption takes time for anything that big, and we've been living like this for a long time,
Yeah.
right? So adoption takes change, and I always, you know, when I'm talking to my friends and I'm talking to other women in this space or just business leaders in this space, it's a mental adoption. That's what takes time.
Yeah.
So once we adopt this and also the technology matches up, I don't see why these questions won't be asked.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and again, we were talking, but I think if we can have large players to make those, you know, sort of choices, it will eventually sort of percolate down to the street level and to all of us, sort of individual consumers, right? That's when it's going to
100%.
become everyday choices rather than
100%.
being urban phenomena right now.
Oh, 100%. The cost is high right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think any business that can make money and be sustainable will choose not to do it if they can make money at the same
Yeah,
time,
I
right?
mean, absolutely, spot on there, yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a great and a very insightful conversation, Preeta, but I know there's a terrific fun side to you, and we're going to have a quick rapid fire now. Saving the planet or saving your sanity?
Saving my sanity, because then I can save the planet.
Excellent.
Only then I can save the planet. Yes.
And the most overrated healthy food is?
Oh my God, avocados. Have you seen the price of an avocado toast out there?
And
It's insane. Let's eat avocado toast only in your home.
if I wasn't an entrepreneur, what would I be?
Oh my God, this is actually easy because I know exactly what I would be. I grew up as, you know, using, you know, my mom is an artist. I actually grew up candle making and, you know, sculpting and making stained glass art and doing flower arrangements, right? So I'm a person who likes to use my hands
Okay.
a lot to build things. And a lot of people only in my childhood know this, right? Who have grown up with my friends and my family in Bombay.
Yeah.
So I think my next profession is not going to be anything on the computer. I'm staying far away from the laptop. I'm getting my posture right. I'm using my hands. I'm building something that's beautiful and still, of course, sustainable.
Yeah.
You know, but also, yes, I want to use my hands to build beautiful things.
So workshop oriented, and perhaps in all of your startup brands, we'll next see a line or a collection by Preeta and hers
yes,
truly.
I'm going to try. I'm really trying. It has to fit. It has to be the right time. Yes.
A stereotype about vegans that is actually kind of true.
That vegans love talking about being vegan.
The biggest hypocrites in the sustainability space are?
You know, I would say people who are focused on single issues like we spoke about, because it's not as easy. It's not, you know, you can be vegan, but you're not recycling. You can be vegan, you're doing something else, right? So being single issue.
Yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense, I guess.
yeah.
But if you could veganize one Indian food dish perfectly, which one would it be?
Oh my God. Actually, there's so many. I guess I really miss like a really good raita. I really miss that. And I still haven't found one that is just like the raita that I used to eat when I was young. So I would love like a better yogurt brands in India so we could do that. Yeah, I think that one. Yeah.
Okay. Give up coffee for a year or explain protein intake to 100 non-vegans daily?
I mean, I'll do that as long as I can, I suppose.
All
Yeah,
right
I've
then.
already made my choice.
Get caught eating cheese in secret or wearing a faux coat by accident at a vegan conference?
None of those would happen.
All
They would
right.
never happen.
Conscious
I
choices.
would not be caught dead in a fur coat, like never. I'm so against that kind of cruelty against animals, and I follow ahimsa, as you know. Yeah.
Wow. living the dream and walking the talk. A celebrity who pretends to be all about sustainability but isn't really. Out with it.
I don't know, I don't know. I think a lot of celebrities do that. I actually don't know their names because we don't know what they're really doing behind closed doors, right? But I believe there's celebrities that jump onto the bandwagon, right? Because it's the trend. You gotta ride with the wave. So I believe that's a that's commonplace. Yeah, but I don't know a name.
Okay. And if you had a magic wand and you could just erase one food item from the world, which would help the cause.
Oh my God, I would erase foods which are more in the US that involve tremendous torture. I would erase foie gras, insane amount of any food that has just sort of evil torture involved in it. I would erase all of those, yeah.
Preeta, it's been, I have to say, and we were talking about this, right? Just last week, I was in a meeting where I was introduced to a whole new concept about animal cruelty across different industry sectors. And the team talked about just 4 sectors, but they said there's more than 40 different sectors and causes and industries that they could talk about, and then more. It really hit a raw nerve. It made me think and rethink some of the lifestyle choices I've made. And after this conversation today, I'm pretty convinced the path that I want to choose.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sort of convinced about that. So thank you for this insightful conversation. It's been refreshing. You've kept it so real yet fun. And clearly someone who personifies and is proof that being mindful does not have to be being preachy.
100%.
You're not guilt tripping anyone. Whatever floats your boat, it's about the choices you make, and it's about inspired living, and it's about living by action. Thank you so much. Guys, I think you must check out One Green Planet. For those of you who are fence sitting, do check out the Food Monster app. I think you're going to get a whole library of plant-based recipes, which will just make that switch perhaps a wee bit easier. And I think it's only fair that we all start living a bit more consciously and a bit more mindfully. Until next time, guys, stay real, stay controversial, and thank you, Preeta, for having this time out from the hectic, busy family social life and working US hours, even though you're sitting right here in Mumbai.
Thank you so much for having me, Pooja. Again, congratulations. You're doing such a great job. And I hope you'll continue having these very diverse conversations.
I'm loving it. Thank you so much.
Keep it up.
Thanks.